I'm Ben Frenkel, product manager on the Google Play Instant team, and I focus on games. Today we have Jam City, King, and Zynga with us to talk about Google Play Instant. But before we get started, I'm going to provide you some context for the panel discussion. So last year at I/O, we launched Instant Apps, and since then we've been pretty busy. We've enabled Instant Apps on over 1 billion devices, and we've made major improvements to our tooling in Android Studio. And most recently, at the Game Developer Conference in March, we announced that Instant Apps was finally coming to games. And this week, we were excited to announce that Google Play Instant is now available to all game developers. Now, let's take a look at Google Play Instant in action.
Divine.
So King's Candy Crush team just launched that app this past Tuesday, and you can check it out on the Play Store today. So just think about that for a second. That's Candy Crush, one of the most, if not the most, successful mobile games ever coming to Google Play Instant. And what gets partners like King excited is the vision that bringing Instant to games can transform game discovery. And we know that this is possible because we have seen this movie before. Whenever media becomes instant, consumption goes up. Speed is a huge competitive advantage. We've seen this with streaming music and movies, and before that, Google proved the transformative impact of speed with instant search. And we want to do the same thing for games because we believe that instant will do the same thing for you, the game developer. Imagine users trying more games, exploring more genres, and ultimately finding more games they love to play. That would have a transformative impact on your business. And over the course of our early access program, the data has proven this theory out. Today, the most visible entry point to an Instant App is the Try Now button, as you can see here. And with just the Try Now button, partners are already seeing an up to 20% increase in user acquisitions. Again, that impact is from Try Now alone, which just scratches the surface of the overall Google Play Instant opportunity. People will also be able to discover your games through ads, through the Play Games app, through social invites, and banners and collections on the Play Store. And today we're announcing that Instant Apps is coming soon to pre-registration. Soon players that pre-register can also get a sneak preview of your game. And when you promote pre-registration through social media, email, or your website, users can instantly play that game from any Android device. It's an awesome way to introduce your game to the world. And as you look at what our partners have done with the discovery services that I just described, and you hear about what they're excited about doing in the future, you'll start to see how important a role Google Play Instant can play throughout the life cycle of a game. From the pre-launch phase, when your goal is to make your launch as big as possible, to build the hype machine around your game, and once you've had that big launch and you've acquired a bunch of users, you want your game to go viral. You want your players to invite their friends to the party, so to speak. And after your game has been around for a while, your goals end up changing. Your focus then turns to retaining your existing players and bringing back those that may have churned. At each stage, the right instant experience can play an integral role in your game's success. And there are three types of instant experiences among the many, many that we saw among our partners. It was very difficult to choose just these three, but I wanted to highlight these three today for you. The first is the mini-game. A mini-game is often a gaming experience that is complementary to the full game and is a great fit for pre-registration. Danceville's mini-game here lets you choreograph a routine by manipulating the individual limbs on this awesome-looking character here. And once you are done, you can share an animated GIF with all of your friends. It offers endless combinations of moves and plenty of entertainment to occupy players all the way through to the eventual launch of the game. The second is what I'm calling the core gameplay preview. And the goal of this archetype is to provide a glimpse of what players will experience after the tutorial and introductory levels. This is a great game and a great type for different experiences that have a deep upgrade system, for example, such as Zombie, Gunship, Revenant, like you can see here. In this example, the installed app at the top typically starts you off with just a single weapon. It's not unusual to let people slowly acclimate to new game mechanics and so forth. So you start off with a single machine gun, and the zombie horde that's arriving up there is arriving at a relatively modest pace. Contrast this with the instant experience, which you can see down here on the left. In this one, you don't just get one machine gun, but you get two machine guns. You get a high-power sniper rifle and Hellfire missiles. The whole experience is intended to get your adrenaline pumping and is a great fit for try now, for ads, and other user acquisition channels. And if you're focused on bringing back churned users, the game highlights pattern might be the right fit for you. The Candy Crush experience is a great example of this. To build their instant app, the Candy Crush team selected 5 levels from the more than 3,000 available in the full game, starting with level 16, going all the way up to level 590. And each was selected to highlight a unique combination of game mechanics. I really like playing level 590, which you can see here. There's a conveyor belt that perpetually moves candies around, and there is this really fascinating portal right in the middle of it, which you can't see right now. You can maybe see there now, and through which candies magically disappear. The goal of this type of experience is to provide a glimpse of what you've been missing out on since the last time you played, and it's very effective. So now that you have a sense of the role Google Play Instant can play throughout the life cycle of a game, let's turn our attention to how you build these types of experiences. And just like we want to make it as easy as possible for users to start playing your games, we also want to make it easier for you, the game developer, to build these experiences. And we've made a substantial investment in this area. First, we've adapted the Instant App framework to better suit the unique needs of game developers. There are 3 changes that we made to the framework. We raised the size limit to 10 megabytes. We enabled the progressive download of assets and executable code. And very importantly, we integrated with game engines and added support for native code and OpenGL. And that last point is vitally important because it means you can use the same code base as your full game to build your instant app. And by integrating with game engines like Unity, we've made it possible to build with the tools that you're already familiar with. To make this possible for Unity developers, possibly many of you in the audience here today, we have to work closely with the world's most widely used game engine, Unity. Through this close collaboration, millions of Unity developers will be able to optimize their current and future games for Google Play Instant. And to that end, we've built the Google Play Instant Unity plugin. The plugin simplifies building and deploying an instant app all from within the Unity IDE, and it will be available in the coming weeks. And if you're a Unity developer and you want to start building an instant experience today, we recommend you join our Unity beta program. And you can sign up at this link here in the lower left-hand corner, and I'll review this at the end too, so you don't have to immediately break out your photos and take a picture. And if you sign up today, you'll get the latest news and access to beta features. We're also excited to announce that Cocos has added instant support to their IDE, Cocos Creator. And they've gone beyond supporting Google Play Instant as a build target by adding tools that simplify the process of building an instant app. Cocos has added 2 steps to their standard build process just for this purpose: record and refactor steps. On the recording step, you play your game in the Cocos simulator, which tracks which assets are used and when. And then in the refactor step, you use a visual, nonlinear editing style tool to define the boundaries of your instant experience. And assets are broken down by category, as you can see here, to support further optimizations. Cocos has made an alpha build available for the adventurous to try, and you can check it out today. With that, now that I've set the context, let's bring our esteemed panel up on the stage to talk about their vision for and experience with instant apps. So folks, coming up. Thank you. So why don't we kick things off with each of you introducing yourselves, talking a bit about your background and any other thoughts you think might be interesting for the crowd.
Hello, everyone. I'm Marcelo Ferreiro. I'm Director of Engineering at Sham City. And we were in charge of creating the Google Play Instant experience for Panda Pop game.
Hi, I'm Olivia Yu, Vice President of Platform Partnerships at King. And we created 2 Google Play Instant experiences, one with Bubble Witch 3, and then just recently, earlier this week on Tuesday, with Candy Crush Saga.
Hello, my name is Kyle Rushton. I'm a Senior Director of Product Management at Zynga, where I've been for the last 6 years. And I work at Zynga in our Central Product Management team. I worked in both the Zynga Solitaire and Words with Friends 2 Google Play Instant experiences.
Awesome. Thank you for that. So, first question. How do you see instant and instant experiences impacting the overall gaming landscape?
So the mobile gaming landscape, it's more competitive than ever at this moment. And we see Google Play Instant as a very valuable tool for developers to acquire new users into their games. So I think that's a great opportunity for them.
Makes sense.
Yeah, so at King, I think we think it can, completely change the way that games are discovered. So there's a ton of different untapped opportunities that we're looking into, whether it's advertising, cross-promotion in our games, social. So there's a bunch of different opportunities that we haven't even looked at for Google Play Instant. So there's a lot of untapped potential.
Yeah, so I think in the short term, when thinking about App Store discovery, we'll ultimately see more consumers trying games, which will ultimately lead to more installs and longer and better engagement. But thinking longer term, I think it'll allow developers to sort of reshape the way they think about discovery in the first place, and allow us to sort of think outside the box about how we bring our experiences to consumers in ways that are outside of traditional App Store.
Awesome. So a couple other questions here for you guys. Well, what instant use cases have you tried, and what use cases are you most excited about?
So for us, we built the first 10 levels of the game for users to play, and then they are able to carry over their progress into the full app when they install it. So it's more like the core gameplay
Right.
that you made. And in the future, we see that we are going to explore probably sharing the game with your friends.
Right. So this would be like a social invite use case?
Yes. Now that Facebook, it's...
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Olivia?
So I think I mentioned earlier, I think we're pretty excited about all the different use cases, probably specifically on the performance marketing side, once it's available. And then also for our side, also cross promotion. It's really important, as you brought up earlier. We have a ton of lapsed players on Candy Crush Saga, so it's a great way for us to bring players back, for them to see all the, everything that's happened with the game, all the new features, and for people to remember, about the game again. So I think those are sort of the main use cases we're pretty excited about, and social as well, as Marcelo mentioned.
Seems to be a common theme.
Yes.
Yeah, so to date, we've been focused primarily or almost exclusively on try now. So in trying to optimize conversion funnel through App Store. I think what I'm most excited about, and perhaps this is, we've already said social a few times, a little bit part of my Zynga DNA as well, is absolutely sort of like social invites and social sharing. I think on native, driving virality and social growth has always been challenging, because on the recipient side of that experience, there's always a lot of friction for a user receiving an invite to think about what they've received, go to the App Store, download the app, install the app, and then ultimately, potentially play through a Fatui, and then find out what their friend was actually trying to share with them. But in a world of instant, where you can just share that experience, perhaps play a move in Words with Friends, share it with your friend, and they immediately open the game board, is really transformative in the way we would think about discovery and sharing an app in the first place.
Excellent. So common theme here, social good. And there's lots of other opportunities as well I'd love to hear your thoughts on. But all the things that you've implemented so far, what's been the impact you've seen? And what do you anticipate in the future from the next project that you do with Google Play Instant?
Well, I think social would be really important in that sense. Being able to just click and being able to play the game, that's going to be really important. It removes the friction of the installation, which is where people actually are eager to play the game, and they probably need to wait 10, 15, 20 seconds to download it, and being able to take advantage of that eagerness. And I think that's going to be really important in the future.
Thank you.
Yeah, so from our side, we've actually see a lot of users, like a high intent to install, and then we've actually seen a lot of users who've played the instant game actually go to install Bubble Witch 3 or Candy Crush Saga, so that's what we're really excited about. And then I think if there's different ways to continue to optimize the funnel from instant to actually installing the game.
Yeah, so we've been really encouraged by the level of engagement we've seen with the Try Now experience, and the demand we're seeing from the consumer side of people really being interested to just check something out and not necessarily download the full experience. But our focus has been purely on driving installs and conversion. I think looking forward, in addition to sort of moving forward that experience, we'll also look to drive things like re-engagement and reactivations, and other sort of core metrics as part of the experience beyond just optimization of the installation funnel.
That makes a lot of sense. So, we've heard from you kind of like what you've done, what the impact has been, but let's shift the conversation to talking about how you build the Instant app and how you design an instant experience. So let's start off with you, Olivia. What factors do you think make for a great instant experience?
I think for us, it was really important, you're pretty much playing instantly, and to make sure that the player feels like they're in pretty much the experience right away. And we really picked, as you shown earlier, really exciting levels. So we wanted to make sure we had really great, exciting, and engaging levels for the user to experience. So that was for us really important. That's why we've selected certain levels, as you can see. So certain levels have certain boosters, certain features, to make sure it's really different for every level that they experience within the Google Play Instant experience.
Excellent.
So can you restate the question?
Yeah, so what factors make for a great instant experience?
Oh, yeah. Sorry, missed it for a second there. So certainly, speed is important. So getting people immediately into the core experience, I think probably goes without saying. But I also think it's important to really design for the use case. So at Zynga, with optimization of installs being sort of our primary driver, we were really trying to get an experience that was concise and short, so that it ended in a clear opportunity to expose a user to installing the full experience. I think if you were, doing something like a social invite or using it for cross promotion or user acquisition or different channels, you might have to think about the design for that use case specifically. So I think use case is really important to understand and exactly what KPI you're trying to drive when building the experience. So it's probably not necessarily a one-size-fits-all answer.
Gotcha. So?
Well, for us, what made sense was to, as I mentioned before, build like the first part of the game, basically because we know it's strong. So I wanted to share that, and having the possibility to then move to the full app and be able to carry over that progress, that was the use case that we use. But we see in the future another possibilities of making probably in another games that we do in Sham City, like testing different use cases and optimize those for each game.
So I have a follow-up for you. So building a game that meets the 10 megabyte size limit sounds probably for many of you like to be pretty intimidating, but all of you have successfully done something like that. And what my question is for you is, as you built out the instant experience for Panapop, what are the kinds of things you learned about both that process as well as maybe things that you learned about the installed apps infrastructure and so forth?
So our first idea was to make the instant app 20 levels long, being able to go back and forth to the map, and then go to the game, and then go to the map again. But again, we realized that we weren't going to achieve the size limit goal that we had. So at that point, we get together with the team and basically decided to only do gameplay and do the first 10 levels. So that enabled us to remove a lot of textures, scenes that we weren't using, localization strings that needs to be stripped off. And what we learned is that every little thing that you can remove from the app, remove it because it's going to be important. Remove the plugins, remove the localizations that you don't use. Even the smallest prefab, it's important to take it out.
So it's all cut out.
Yeah. Yeah, so take away everything. We tried to do it in a way where we could build it on top of the regular game, so we benefit from the changes that we made in the full app. So I would also recommend that if possible.
So you're saying that through that process, you were able to make optimizations that then impacted your full game, is that right?
Yes. In fact, there were two things that we benefit from building the instant app. One was we improved the way we were making bone animations, and that made the application run smoother and with a reduced memory footprint. So we basically, in the full app, we gain memory and we gain performance. So it was truly beneficial. Yeah.
That's awesome. And Kyle, why don't you talk about a little bit about your experience? You converted, at least a couple of games that I've had an opportunity to play. And what was your experience like, and how did you do that?
Yeah, so fortunately in the case of Zynga Solitaire, the full app itself was just around the 10 megabyte mark, so we didn't have much difficulty getting it under the threshold in that case. In the case of Words with Friends 2, I think this goes back to sort of like the design piece of it as well, was really just having a clear focus of what we wanted to bring to consumers. And so for us, when we launched Words with Friends 2 about 6 months ago, one of the new features we launched with that was a feature called Solo Series, which allows users to play against AI-powered bots. We thought that was a really good match for the instant experience. So we focused exclusively on bringing a subset of solo series to the instant app. By having that clear focus, we were able to remove a lot of other stuff that was tangential, unrelated, and so we could really reduce the app size and build a really clean experience without a lot of the other, I won't call it fluff, but aspects of the app.
Awesome. So to synthesize that, you're saying that you can cut out, let's say, lots of levels, but another thing is to just focus on like one particular slice of the experience.
Yeah, exactly. I think that was a good summary.
Excellent. Any thoughts, Olivia?
Yeah, so I think for us, we just focus a lot on the gameplay. And then, we took out the saga map. We don't have any other features. And a lot of our games always have a narrative in the beginning and a fatui. So we obviously took everything out. So it was only just focused on the gameplay. So that's what we wanted to focus on.
No, it makes a lot of sense. And, we've heard similar things from a lot of our other partners as well. It's either stripping out assets or choosing a select gameplay, but I think it's really good to get some additional context from you up here. So I wanted to particularly talk to you about some of the challenges related to developing a instant experience in Unity, and what are some of the things that you ended up having to do and learn through that process?
Well, as you mentioned before, the biggest challenge for us was size,
right,
actually. So we needed, as I mentioned before, we needed to change the way we were doing Dragon Bone animations, because what we were using at the time, the files that it was producing, they were bigger, and they were also taking up a lot of memory in the game. And after that, we also needed to refactor certain parts of the code to be able to only use the scene of the gameplay. I think those were the two biggest challenges that we needed to make. But in the end, we end up with a more modularized application, and we were able to benefit from that in a technical way also. So it was a win-win for us.
Excellent. And so looking forward, overall, what kind of developments do you see emerging in the instant gaming space in the coming years? You can go as far in the future as you would like, but love to hear your thoughts on how you see the whole space evolving.
I think that this is going to be probably I would say the future of user acquisition. Also, the social part of being able to share a link and start playing right away. That's probably going to be the future apps that we're going to see. And of course, we are going to benefit from that.
Awesome.
I still think, as you mentioned, especially with new games coming, so there's also a way, to also fully leverage the pre-registration on Google Play, right? So players can actually try the game before they pre-register and actually install it. So I think that's another way. And then, depending on where you are in, the stage for your game, there could be different instant games experiences.
Yeah, I'm really excited to see what the creativity of game developers will bring to Google Instant, and I think there will be some breakout mechanic built on top of Google Play Instant, that to date would not be possible. And so I think once you think about it from a design perspective and what you can bring once there's no friction between a current user and a potential user or a reactivated user, I think we'll be able to build new mechanics on top of that that are breakout.
I wanted to give you a big round of applause. Thank you for being here.
Yeah.
And hope you all learned a lot. And I just wanted to close things out with a collection of links so that you can follow up and take action on the things you learned today. So yes, taking a photo is definitely preferable because this last URL is probably difficult to remember. So Google Play Instant, that's where your getting started guide is. You can see the technical documentation there. There's a beta sign up for Unity. So if you want to build a game with Unity today, we encourage that obviously, then you sign up here to be part of our instant beta. And if you're interested and adventurous and are willing to try something that's hot off the press, the alpha build of Coco's Creator with the new features that we described today, you can go to this link here. And it's very stable, I've been told by the people from Coco's. So go check it out. It's really cool. We were demoing it all week at 10C or whatever it is called. And it was stable. But either way, go check it out. I think you're going to really get a kick out of it. And it's only going to get better from here. So thank you all for your time. And enjoy what remains of I/O.